Nicely on time. Right, my next guest is Mike Freebury. I've known Mike Freebury for something like 10, 15 years. He was very well associated with the Cornwall UFO group for many years, with Dave Gillam, who is actually here. No talking, please. You're on my time now, thank you. Seriously, you're on my time. We have a tight schedule, so we have to do it like this. Okay? Mike Freebury is a very well-respected researcher, author of a book about animal mutilations on Dartmoor, which he's got copies of. But about a year ago, he told me about some research with some still cameras in a certain valley in Wales. And I actually drove over to see him and saw some of the images. And they were very interesting. So this presentation is lots of images that I think are quite anomalous. Quite what they are, he will discuss with you. But it's a very interesting presentation, and I've seen all the slides, they are interesting. So, without further ado, I'll now hand you over to our next speaker, Mike Freebury.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for making the effort to come to this conference. I hope you can take something away from this presentation that I'm going to give now. You're going to be hearing some strange names that we've given to the types of UFOs that we've taken photographs of. But first, let's go back to the beginning. And in September 2010, I discussed with a guy called Winston Keach the possibility of carrying out a programme of surveillances in a particular area of Powys. And it's a lovely little place as well where it is. It's very remote. And it's this valley, which is very, very nice. There's a field below. Bear with me on this. Winston Keach has done a number of surveillances, and without his help, we wouldn't be seeing anything today, I have to tell you. He's the one that sourced the cameras, and he's given an enormous amount to this particular project, which we're going to look at now. In 2010, in October, we did the first of our surveillances, and quite frankly, we didn't gain a lot from it. Unfortunately, between us, we did about 750 miles round trip to get there. We had about 48 hours without sleep, and we didn't get anything, and that's what research can do sometimes. So, very quickly on the agenda, we considered the thought that maybe we could put some remote cameras in, because we knew there were things going on there, and we needed to capture them. So, Win Keach, as part of this, selected a camera which was the LTL Acorn 5210. We've got one up here. I can just show you, and just master this thing. It's just on the speaker there. They're a very durable camera. They could take as many shots as you like on an interval basis, which is what we wanted. And we set them for we got one camera and set it up to take images every 3 minutes. This was okay, we got some images, but we know we had to try and increase the battery power, because that's the trouble with these cameras. So during 2012, we then introduced a second camera, and then we also managed to produce and get a battery chamber that could increase the power that went to these cameras. What I had to do was I had to go every fortnight, change the batteries, take the SD cards out, and put new ones in, then go back home and then check all the images. I'd then send the images to the SD cards to Win, and he would check them. So, from 2012 we had 2 cameras running. One that was checking the bottom field, which was below our vantage point, and another one covering the valley. In fact, if we just go back, this is the field camera, and we put one here because we've seen a number of strange things down here and thought it'd be a good idea to have one camera just covering that. And then, of course, we've got the valley, which was our main target. Since we began the project, bearing in mind we're taking images every minute, so it's almost movie footage in some places. We've taken 1.3 million images. That's approximate at the moment. I've got 13,000 images that I've got to have a look at when I get home from this conference, from the latest batch that we've taken. So basically, I had to sort of check all these. I had to go and collect these images, check them, and you can usually you can get to a speed of about 3,000 per hour, and you can pick up those things. I then send them to Win. He'd check them, and then we see what images we got. And these images are what we're going to see now. We've taken in excess of 2,000 images. So there's a picture of that area. We may refer to these as we go through because it will help if you know the sort of geography of the place. What I've done is, another thing I'll have to tell you about is that this whole project has been carried out in almost total secrecy. It's been a bit awkward for me because I've had people contact me and say, well, what are you doing, you know? And I've had to say, well, you know, we're working on a project, can't tell you anything about it. But for 5 years, we've kept it completely secret, or almost secret. So I've broken down the pictures and into different categories, and this first one is the beams and light forms. And we've had various things that we've picked up on the cameras. We've got truncated beams, curved beams, and spheres and light forms. This is one, and this is not untypical. We've got quite a lot of these. This is taken at night. The cameras are marvellous, by the way, because they have infrared capability, take great pictures during the day, and they take nighttime pictures too. So here we've got a beam coming down. We're not sure what's going on here because is there something there that we can't see or the camera can't pick up? Here we've got two beams coming down. Again, we can't see the origin of these beams. They're not, I can assure you, anything to do with moonbeams. I've had a professional photographer look at these pictures and he said, I'm telling you now, he said, these are not moonbeams, they're just not. So, this is a strange one. We seem to have a curved beam. Is it something travelling very fast? I don't know. And here we have an upward beam. And this is curious because if we have a look here, we've got one here in broad daylight. You see a bit better there. A completely perpendicular beam. It's interesting to note that Flying Saucer Review did an article about these kind of beams, and they showed one almost identical to this, but I think that one was somewhere in the West Country. Here's another downward beam taken at night, and these could be spheres. And there's a bit more action, there's several. But they seem to be containing beams within them. There's a better one, it's a clearer. We've got quite a lot of these. I could have brought a couple hundred of these, but I've just brought a selection. But these definitely look as though they're spheres to me. And it could be that they're actually being transferred from somewhere in the sky to the floor, down to the ground. Yeah. All right. So we're having a few problems with the sound, so can everybody hear me okay? Okay, so this one's a bit curious because I don't know what this crisscross thing is all about. They're certainly not moonbeams. And there's another one. Again, it's very difficult to imagine what the origin of these particular beams are. Here's one with a much brighter light up there. Sorry. This one's been taken, I would say, in probably pretty bad weather. But it's been taken by the camera. The cameras have an interesting thing what they do, because it automatically changes to infrared when it gets dark, and sometimes it does that switch during the transition from night to day and day to night. And this is just such an occasion. And what it's done is it's caught quite an interesting thing. We've got a couple down here. We've got this in the background. This one's very curious because this is some massive light form. It's up in the sky. The ground is probably here, so this thing is up in the sky. It's certainly nothing to do with mist or anything like that. We have tens of thousands of images that are sort of rounded, and if you're not used to it, you might think there's something different, or something a bit strange, but they're not really. It's just the camera is bouncing off the mist. But this is not such a case. This one's way up here, so. So this is a strange one. We don't know what this is, whether it's a fast-moving object or what, but this is way up in the sky. Here's another one that's rather strange. We've got, make of this what you will. these could be just beams, or are they some sort of tentacles even? I don't know. Very strange. And here's another one that's been, obviously we've got the main beam up here, and we've got these other things coming off it. Again, I don't know what the origin of that is. There's another light form, again very strange. No idea what that could be at all. If anybody has any ideas as to what these may be, if they say, well, in actual fact it's a camera fault or something like that, I'd be delighted to hear from you, because we do have quite a lot of these images which we just put as unclassified. So here's a strange one. We've got some mayhem going on down here. I don't know what's going on here, but we've got this thing here. What is it? I've just got no idea, but it's up in the sky. This is where the camera has cut in. This is probably around 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and we have something in the field there, a little light form. And there's something strange about this, because it's gone in this is 1 minute later, it's gone, but we've got a little halo of light at the back of these bushes. In fact, there's a slightly better picture, I think the next one. So there, just there, you see it a bit better in that picture there. This is one that we've called the dragonfly. We've only ever taken one image. It was photographed on the 20th of December 2013, and this is what it is. It was flying over the field, the lower field. It's quite a large object, whatever it is, but it was Wing Keach that decided to call it the dragonfly. Now this is a strange and weird kind of thing. We call them cobwebs, and when you look, you'll say, yeah, that's probably why you call them cobwebs. They're only seen at night. We've got no daytime pictures. They're driven by an illuminated sphere, by and large, that seems to drag them through the air. If you look at some of these images, it looks almost as if they're like a fishing net that's being dragged. They vary greatly in size. Some of them could be quite small, but some of them are massive. That's a classic cobweb. There's your illuminated sphere. It's almost like a living thing. There's another one. There's the core of it, and it seems as though it's being dragged. I don't know of anybody that's seen anything like this anywhere else. Again, if you have, I'd be delighted to hear from you, because these things could be unique to this area, or they could be elsewhere in the UK and elsewhere, but nobody's been bothering to photograph them. Here's a cobweb again. got a bit of a mishmash here with the lights. It's obviously pulling this. There's the central core again. That, we're pretty sure, is a barn light and nothing to do with the cobweb. This is the cobweb light, and this is the cobweb that it's pulling, or appears to be pulling, behind it. Here's another one. Again, we've got the core, and all this here is the cobweb. Now, we've included this as a cobweb, but it's got no illuminated sphere in it, and it's an amazing, it looks like something that could come out of the bottom of the sea, but this is in the air, and this is a massive object. What it is, we have no idea. And there's a close-up of it. When you look at the close-up, it looks more like a cobweb. This is interesting because I've included it, because this shows a cobweb actually forming. We've got the forest here, we've got an illuminated sphere that's appeared on the edge of the forest, and then it starts to form the cobweb. And at this point, it's got to be on or very near the ground. This is over quite a large area, all forest here and here. There's a field here. Here's another shot of it. Seems to have contracted a little. Here's another cobweb. Again, they're very pronounced. I mean, very, very weird things. And this is a cobweb taken from probably a different angle. This is probably from the back. Here's a nice shot of a cobweb. You can see here, got the main light. There seems to be cobwebby things around it, but it's pulling that cobweb along with it. Although we had the cameras fixed to a fence that was the border of the farm that overlooks the valley, we don't believe that any of these cobwebs are natural cobwebs. We think that they're a definite phenomenon and something that perhaps has not been picked up before by anybody else. There's a nice one. You can see, I mean, you've got the ground here, and then we've got a very large cobweb, but you can see it's almost like a manta ray. Can you hear me all right, by the way? I'm not... And there's the driving sphere. Some more dark images. I'm sorry all these are in the dark, so you're missing out on a bit of detail, but believe you me, when we get forward a bit, you're going to see a lot more of daytime ones. The scorpions, and we've called them this for obvious reasons, they only appeared for about a week in December 2013. I think it was about the third week in December. But these are quite weird and strange things. There's one. So what you've got, again, what appears to be a light form or a sphere that's at the centre of it. You have this sort of board, and it's this tail that gives it the name, what we've called it, a scorpion. Again, if anybody, the more experienced people in the audience who are doing research and have seen anything like this, I'd really like to hear from them. There's another one, slightly smaller. We think that this is a barn light because there is in the valley there are two major farms, and one of them has a large barn which is almost continually has a light on it. There's quite a nice one. Again, you've got the very pronounced tail. And another one. These, like I say, only appeared for a week in December 2013, and we've not had a sniff of one since. This doesn't mean to say that they haven't been there. We may just be unlucky with the way the camera is taking its pictures. There's another one. These, if this is a barn light, this is about 300 metres, 400 metres across. Some of these things are absolutely huge. And another one. We thought we were going to get a load of these, but they abruptly seemed to stop. We think that both these are barn lights, and you can see the central light core there. This doesn't look like a scorpion, but we're pretty sure it is. It's one that's starting, and it's this light here makes us think that the camera's just caught it before it's developed into a scorpion, or it shrunk back from being a scorpion. The other interesting thing about these particular anomalies is that they don't seem to have moved to any other part of the forest or the valley. Right, we had an incident on the 2nd of March 2012 where for an hour and a bit there were a sequence of lights that were seen by the camera, picked up by the camera, with lights penetrating very deeply into the forest. I'm showing you this picture again because this is in daytime so that you can just get your bearings on this. This forest is very, very dense, and there's a track that leads up. It goes where my pointer is going now. You can't go there at night because there's a barrier and it's padlocked. Not that you would want to go up there in the night time, because I can tell you it's creepy enough on the top of the hill. Never mind being in the middle of the forest. I certainly wouldn't go in there on my own, I can tell you. But you can see here where the border, where the forest sort of ends. So we've got two sets of lights there, plus we've got something up here, you know, that is very deeply into the forest. You can see here where it's been taken from. This is just the edge. It's a long drop down there, and you've got the field here. And the edge of the forest is probably around here. Here's another one. Again, the lights seem to change in intensity and in location. I mean, this one, I'm giving you, we've got pictures obviously for the whole duration of it, which is about 75. I've only pulled out a selection here for you. You only get bored seeing all these. So now I think this one's been magnified slightly, but you can see these lights going all the way up into the forest. What's the purpose of this? When we get to talk about the spheres, it might get a few more clues. So here we are, I mean, we're at the edge of the forest here, and yet we've got these. I mean, this is really deep inside the forest. I mean, there's just loads going on here. We've got those that seem to be constant, and then we've got more popping up elsewhere. And still more. This has shrunk a little bit, and we've got some more pronounced ones again deep inside the forest, and more inside the forest. This seems to have diminished slightly, and we've got a bit more activity up here. I think this must have been getting close to the end, because we've only got this here and 2 or 3 up in the forest. So there's something very strange about those forest lights. We think that they're connected to the spheres, because during surveillances I've seen red spheres in this valley, and the spheres seem to have a predilection for hanging out in the forest canopy. We don't seem to take pictures of spheres high up in the sky, or very rarely on the ground. We have got some that are on the ground, but they seem to like being in the forest canopy, and they're often moving about there. And you'll see this clearly in some of the other images that we're going to show. Flying tubes and rods. Some are self-luminous. They appear to carry spheres. And again, I've referred to an article in Flying Saucer Review that did an article about a family who had taken some pictures of a rod in, I think it was Somerset. And you could clearly see it seemed to be made up of round objects. Some of the ones we've seen are covered by white vapour, or appear to be. They can bend and change the shape. And the flying tubes, we know for sure, are connected to the spheres. So let's have a look at them. This is a wonderful picture because the camera, I think, has caught this probably just at the right time. The infrared has come on. It's probably half dark, so we wouldn't have been able to see. Winkeach and I were doing a night surveillance, and we were going through, his van is done out like a space control centre, and we were looking at a computer, passing the time, and we were going through the latest SD card that we'd taken out to the camera. We both, when we came to this image, we both went, whoa, what's that? That. You probably can't see it very well, so we'd better have a better look. There's one there, and there's one there. I think we've got a slightly better one than that. So you've got one there and one there. Now these aren't cruise missiles. These are flying tubes. That's about, I would say, 12 to 15 feet in length. That's probably 8 to 10 feet in length. Wind says that they're moving very quickly, but they are very low. The camera, remember, is perched on the brow of the hill on the fence, and it's pointing down 75 metres probably from those objects. But it was a great shot to start with because we hadn't seen a flying tube up until that moment. Here's a nighttime one, and this is what I'm trying to mention to you, that it seems to be made up of segments of spheres. It's the only thing I can think of. Here's one taken at night with the camera. Here's a big one, and it seems to be, this one seems to have come from across the forest and may even be landing. There's one up here which you can't see very well on the slide. Apologies for that one. Here's another nighttime one, and here you can clearly see the segments, and that one's probably quite big. Not sure what that one is. Now, is this a tube, a flying tube? Is it a rod? I hate the term rod. Or is it a light form? It might actually be a light form, but here again, the camera has probably taken this, just switched over to infrared. It's probably about 9 o'clock in the evening, and we've got this incredible light form. A lot goes on in this field, a lot. There's another tube. That's plainly a tube. Again, it's been taken at just the right time, probably, before the night really sets in. This is a nice one. So this is one there's no ambiguity about this. There's the flying tube. It has a spear on each end. I've heard about this before, people seeing a barbell-shaped object. But this is perfect, absolutely perfect conditions. The sun shining, there's no ambiguity about what you're seeing there. And there's a close-up of it. You can quite clearly see. I mean, we've got no craft that looks like that, I'm sure. This is an interesting one because, again, this is taken shortly before or after the last one. We've got 2 flying tubes. This one appears to have ejected a sphere. If you look at it doesn't show up very well here, but it looks as though that sphere has been ejected from the tube. So let me just, before we continue with looking at more images, and we're going to look at these spheres now. Wynne and I have carried on this project for 5 years, and we've done so in complete secrecy, and there's a reason for that. Because we have had a couple of situations where where people have basically tried to stop us from taking these pictures. We had a problem with a major landowner that owns a lot of the land in that area. She's a multi-millionaire. She's got a house in Chelsea. She owns many acres, and via one of her minions, the land agent, they complained about us having the cameras situated on the fence. And we were told we'd got to remove them, despite the fact that the farmer on whose land we have permission to do this research, despite the fact that he had actually built the fence himself. Anyway, regrettably, we had to remove the cameras straight away. Otherwise, we'd probably be up to about 1.5 million images now. And we did so under the duress of potential legal action against us. Because these people have got good lawyers, and we didn't want to get the farmer into any sort of trouble. So we removed the cameras. I wrote a grovelling letter to this lady. I sent her a copy of my book and said, this is what we're doing. And we've heard nothing since. What we then did was, Wynne Keach designed, built, fabricated 2 pylons, 2 metal pylons, about 7 feet high. And these pylons were set in pretty well the same positions as when we had them mounted on the fence, but they were 3 feet inside the fence, so they were actually on the farmer's land. And there's nothing they could do about it, so we just continued taking the pictures. And it worked out well, because we did take a lot of very interesting pictures that seemed to be better quality, because the cameras were raised, so we maybe picked up a few more things than we would have done. So that was one problem that we had. Another one was one that we had more recently, where I turned up at the farm one day to find that our cameras had been smashed off the posts, off the pylons, and whoever had done it had taken the SD cards out, which I thought was rather curious. Anyway, we've put cameras back, and we run the risk that it could happen again. So, but it's one of the reasons why we've kept this pretty well under wraps. Okay, the spheres. The spheres, at night, they're always red. During the day, the camera, when it picks them up, it never picks them up as red. They're always either white or metallic a sort of dark metallic copy. They change shape and size. I've seen them as with a diameter of about 70 feet. I've seen them with a diameter of about 3 feet. They inhabit the forest canopy, which I've told you about before, and we'll see lots of instances of that now. And the spheres seem to communicate with some of the flying tubes. So here we've got a nighttime shot, and it looks as though there's a train of them either coming towards the brow of the hill or going away from it. This is what I was talking about. We've got 1, 2, 3. I think there might be one there too. Again, they always seem to be close to the forest canopy, always. One there. Seems to be one in the field there and one there. These are all sheep here. There's lots of sheep. It's Wales. There's one that's sort of darker, but again, not far off the forest canopy. They just seem to love it. This is an interesting one because this one, again, is right in the forest canopy. It seems to have a colleague nearby. The camera's picked this up, and this was hunting for something, but that was no doubt. Because here it is again. The other one's disappeared, and this one's brightened up a bit. There it is again. The camera, you can tell the time, it's 7:30, 8 o'clock. The camera is now switched from infrared into colour. All these are sheep here, and they started to leg it when they saw this, which made me think, they don't like the spheres very much. This one's not picked up very well. This is from the same sequence. I'm sorry about this, but it should be showing on here. Here we go. It's right there in the edge. That one's just gone off the picture slightly. You can see there, it's just there. Sorry about this. Okay, so here we got one. This one's the farms here. You can see it quite clearly. Barns and that there. There's been a lot of activity around here, but there's something there, very close to the farm. Here's another one, right in the middle of the forest. We've got hundreds of shots of these spheres. When Gary came down to look at some of these images, we spent 4 hours and we didn't scratch the surface of the spheres. This is a great shot because this is a communications tower and it's allegedly used by the police, but we've never seen anybody up there. But from our vantage point on overlooking the valley to this tower is 6 miles, and I know that because I've driven it. Took a drive through the forest one day and managed to find it. But what's amazing about this is that it has a sphere right next to it, a sphere or large light, and this tower is about 140 feet high. So the sphere or the light has got to be at least in the region of 100 feet in diameter. I thought this was a nice one because we've got Land Rover and another 4x4 there, and there's a little sphere watching them eat the lunch. There's another picture, and it's still there, and they're completely oblivious to it, of course, because it's very close to the forest canopy. And this is 3 minutes on. Here's another. This, I suppose, could be a light form. It's an unusual shot because here, this is hovering. This is way back in the forest, but it seems to be just hovering above. I've included this one because a lot of these people say they're UFOs, but this is a UGO. This is an unidentified ground object. And there's a nice shot here because the mist is coming in. But what's this here? Looks like 2 lights together. That gives you a better idea of what it... Definitely something strange going on there. I've shown this, I've put this in as a separate category on its own because this is quite an amazing sequence. On the 10th of June 2012, in the afternoon, we had 75 minutes of absolute mayhem. So you don't have to worry about, there's no ambiguity here. So that's the first picture. So what we've got here is we've got flying tube or a rod, whatever you want to call it, and another one. You can see there the segments. Not quite sure what that is. It could be a sphere, it could be anything. 2 spheres. Don't know what that is. Almost every minute we're picking things up. Here we've got a little train of them. Looks like 3 spheres and a tube. And up in the sky there is a massive rod, or tube, whatever you want to call it. And another one. Again, it's just coming across the forest. 2 more, again. We don't know whether these are different ones or whether they're the same ones going around several times, because I say there was a lot going on. There's 3 together. We're back with the 4 again. Some of these may look very similar. They are different, but they may look familiar because there seems to be some repetitive fly paths there. There's 3 going off over into the forest. Not quite sure what this is, but there's something going on there. Something going on in the back of the field there. And there we've got a flying tube coming in at the back of the farm. Don't know how big that is. I would have said it's probably about 30 foot. So we've got a sphere there. Don't know if there's anything else there. 2 more. Again, they could be going round in a circle, or they could be different ones. They could be having a meeting, who knows. There's a massive flying tube in the sky. And the fact that part of it is masked a little bit there by the clouds suggests it's quite high up and it's very, very big. There's another one coming in. And what about that? 2 flying tubes coming in. That's probably one of the best UFO pictures you'll ever see. Because believe you me, you do not get the opportunity to photograph them looking down on them very often. It's absolutely fantastic. These are probably 100 feet plus in length. I'll try to do a little bit of a close-up for you, but again, you can see the segmentation you've got with the more of them going on, or the same ones perhaps. That one appears to be turning away, which is probably why it's shorter than that one. There's something going on there. I'm struggling to say, oh yes, there's something up there, but we've got a sphere there. We could probably do with spending a lot more time on this particular event to see if we could pull anything else out, but we've not been able to do that. So there you've got something way up in the sky again very, very large, I would suggest. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Another flying tube, a massive one. We've got one there, we've got a little sphere. A couple more spheres there. Two more, just there. And a whole load of them there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, probably 10 or a dozen. One there. I don't think that's one, by the way. Don't know what this is. Strange object. Something going on there. It's all got to be part of it. I like this one because I've seen 2 red spheres here. And here's a sphere. This is in the forest. Where our cameras are situated, it's on the brow of a hill, and you just look to the right, and there's a forest, which is where this is, and this is on the edge of the forest. I don't know what that is. A couple more there. there. Couple there. Here we are, we've got one up in the sky. We don't often get them up in the sky, but there's one there now. Don't know what that is. Again, something, they do change. And another one, or perhaps a couple there, and one there, one there. And this, I think, is the final one of this particular sequence, and you've got a flying tube coming in there. Got a couple of tubes, a couple of spheres there. Okay, this is craft of unknown origin. This is what I prefer. I prefer this to UFOs. Again, most of these are going to be in daytime. There's a lozenge-shaped craft there. Two more there. The cameras, again, this is in this twilight time. There seems to be two discs in the sky. What's also interesting is there's two very bright illuminated lights, which I take to be spheres, in the forest, again, not moving very far. Gary loves this one because it is a great shot. It's a disc taking off from the field and it's leaving a shadow. There's no ambiguity about what that might be, in my opinion. This is a strange one because there's something, this is at the back of the farm, and the fact that it's quite close to the farm doesn't mean we don't see strange things near the farm. But it's this here. If we look at the next one, it's 1 minute on, it's gone. But there's another one here. So wherever it is, it's moved from there to there. And then after that, it had gone. This is a disc. It looks a bit like a tube, but it isn't. It's actually, Wynne assures me this is a disc taking off from the field. Here's a nice one. No idea what this is. This is totally different to a lot of the other things that we've seen. It appears to be, well, I don't know what it is. It's not a jet, I assure you. Where are we here? Oh yes. When I flicked through these images this one day, I thought, oh, I can see a buzzard just there. I thought, oh, I'll have another look at that. And I went back and I had another look, and then I realised there was something behind. That's the buzzard, and there was that behind it, which looks like a disc with pods all over it. It is shining a light. It is visible. So there's a light shining down on the other side. Not a very bright one, but what is it? It's different to the spheres. It's different to the tubes. So it could be that maybe different entities are using the area. We'll come on to that in a minute. There's one crossing the field. Another one. There's something hovering over the field. And another one. Okay, swarms. These are UFO swarms. I don't know what these are. There's about 50 in this picture. When I first looked at it, I thought, oh, they've got to be birds. But we've got pictures of flocks of starlings, but these ain't starlings. These are something totally different. And if you have a look, this is we've lined it up a bit here. They all look the same, but none of them look like birds. Absolutely none of them. Now this one is 5, 4, 3, 2. We've got these entities that seem to be flying. These are airborne. And I thought the sheep are watching. This here is a feeding station. I thought, blimey, there's some UFOs. Then the next shot, the next shot, the next shot. They're completely gone. So what I'm saying is, if we just go back, these are unidentified aircraft, but all these are as well. I thought these were sheep, but they're not sheep because they've all disappeared a minute later and they don't return. So all these here are strange ones. Couple there. There should be 4 in this, but I don't know. I've lost part. Okay. Entities. Something must be doing something. These things must be there for a reason. How many are there? How many different races are there? I don't know what this is. It could be a light form, but it looks to me as though it's almost a living thing. This as well. This is a strange one because the strange thing is down here. It looks as though it's a giant head going from. We just don't know what this is. We thought it might be a camera error or something, but C-3PO we call that. We don't know what it is. We've not seen it since. We've only got that one picture. This is a marvellous shot. This was taken when the cameras were, I think it was taken around about early 2012. The camera just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And this is 4.5 to 5 feet in length. And from there to the tip is about 12 inches. It's actually skimming along now. It doesn't look like any sort of an alien that you'd think an alien might look like, but this is something that's definitely a bit weird. And there we go. That's it. It can actually fly as well. So now this is one of the best images I think that we've taken. I was flicking through one day. It's 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. Whoa! Hang on a minute. What's that? Hang on. I better have a look at that. When I had a look at it, that's a horse that seems to be lying dead or sedated, and this is an entity. Now it's not a bird silhouette. There's no bird I know that's got wings like that, unless it's a pterodactyl. Here's a better view of it. It appears to have a bald head. It seems to have, you can tell that there's a sheep. You can see where the shadow's lying. You can see where the shadow's lying there. They are the same. The horse looks as though it's dead to me, and I thought, oh, it's been mutilated. But when we have a look, 1 minute later, it's gone. 2 minutes later, 3 minutes later, 4 minutes later, 5 minutes later. And that's just about it, I think. We've just about managed to finish it.
Right, thank you very much. Put your hands together for Mike Freebury.